Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ashok IT. Today, we are here to discuss about three important tools for both DevOps engineers as well as software developers also. Those are, first one is Docker, second one is Kubernetes, third one is Jenkins. So nowadays, lot of demand is there in the market for these three tools. These tools are called as DevOps tools. They are used to deploy our application in the real time. By using these three tools, we are going to execute our projects in the real time. You can't imagine DevOps practices without these three tools in the industry. And 100% I'm sure without using these three tools nowadays, people are not going to deploy the projects in the real time. Without using these three tools, people are not going to deploy the projects in the real time. Okay, now, sir, here, what are these three tools and what we are going to learn as part of these three tools? As I told you, for working with this Docker, Kubernetes, and Jenkins, right? The prerequisites, Linux basics, guys, because we are going to learn all these three tools on the Linux machines. I'm going to set up Docker, Kubernetes, and Jenkins on the Linux platform. So if anybody who are planning to learn this Docker, Kubernetes, and Jenkins, the prerequisites to attend this Linux basics. And the next one, the course duration, it is going to take 30 days of time. Only these three tools we are going to learn for 1 month of time, right? So daily 1.5 hour class will be available. The class timing, as we already communicated, 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. IST. The class will be available on Monday to Saturday. Sorry, Monday to Friday. Monday to Friday, the classes will be available 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. IST. So we are going to spend approximately 30 days of time to attend only these three tools: Docker, Kubernetes, and Jenkins. Is my voice clear for everyone? Guys, is my voice clear for everyone? Respond in the chat box. Yes, good. So the prerequisites to attend this course, you need to have the basic knowledge on the Linux commands. You are going to learn these three tools for 30 days of time. The class timing 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. IST, Monday to Friday. And so for the DevOps people, for our DevOps people, no fees, guys. It is already included in our DevOps course. And the people who want to attend only these three tools, we are charging 8,000 rupees. You are going to get live classes, plus you are going to get the backup videos, 1 year validity. Okay. So if you are already part of our DevOps batch, then you no need to pay anything because these three tools are already included in our DevOps. Anybody who want to attend only these three tools, the course fees is 8,000 rupees. You are going to get the live classes. You are going to get the backup videos with a 1 year validity. And every day I'm going to provide soft copy notes also. Soft copy notes will be provided for you. Whatever the topic I'm going to discuss in the live session, after the class is completed, every day I'm going to share the soft copy notes will be available. And next one, so here live classes you are going to attend and backup videos we are going to provide. Backup videos will be provided. Daily Q&A, daily your doubts will be clarified. Daily questions, I'm going to take the questions at the end of the session. If you have any question regarding the today topic, you can interact with me at the end of the session. I'm going to clarify all your questions on the same day. And I'm going to create a community group for support. Community group for the support. We are going to create one WhatsApp group for you. So in that group, I will be also joining. And if you get any question, if you get any problem, then you can post in that community group, guys. Okay, so this is very quick introduction related to this course. This is a Docker plus Kubernetes plus Jenkins. My ongoing DevOps batch students available and some new people join for only Dockers and Kubernetes. For them, Linux basics are the prerequisite. So here 30 days duration will be available. 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. IST classes Monday to Friday. For DevOps people, no fees. It is part of our DevOps. And for other people who are joining for this course first time, 8,000 fees with live classes plus backup videos. Soft copy notes will be provided for you. Every day you are going to attend the live session. Every day backup video you are going to get. Videos from 1 year validity will be available for the videos. Daily questions and answers session will be available. And one community group we are going to provide for the support. Okay. So this is very quick introduction related to this course. And coming to the course roadmap. Sir, what we are going to learn as part of this course? What is our course roadmap? What we are going to learn in this course? So in this course, we are going to learn about Docker. Okay. First, we are going to start with the Docker. So as part of this Docker, we are going to understand what is application architecture. Okay. We are going to understand app architecture. To understand what is the Docker, you should know this one. Then after this, we need to understand life without Docker. If the Docker is not available in our project, then what are the challenges we are going to face? If we don't use Docker in the real-time project, then what are the challenges we are going to face? Life without Docker, then we are going to understand life with Docker. Okay, then we are going to discuss about containerization concept. What is containerization? Then we are going to talk about Docker intro and setup. What is the Docker and how to set up that Docker? Then we will talk about Docker architecture. What is Docker and how the Docker is going to work? Then next one, we are going to talk about Docker images, and we are going to talk about Docker containers, and we will talk about Dockerfile. What is Docker image? What is the Docker container? And what is Dockerfile? Okay. Then we are going to understand Docker network. We are going to understand Docker network. We will discuss about the Docker volumes, and we will discuss about Docker compose, and we will discuss about the Docker swarm. Okay, from the Docker, these are the topics we are going to learn. What is the Docker and how our life will be there without using Docker in the project? What are the benefits we are going to get when we use a Docker in the project? What is the meaning of containerization, Docker introduction, and Docker setup? The setup we are going to do in Linux machine, and we are going to discuss about Docker architecture. Then what is a Docker image? How to create the Docker images, how to work with the Docker images, what is the Docker container, how to create Docker containers, what is a Docker file, how to write the Docker file, Docker network, Docker volumes, Docker compose, Docker swarm. These are the topics we are going to discuss as part of our Docker. Then coming to Kubernetes, guys, very important tool currently in the market, that is Kubernetes. So what we are going to learn as part of our Kubernetes. When it comes to the Kubernetes, we need to understand what is orchestration. We need to understand what is orchestration. When the Docker software is already available, why we need to go for this Kubernetes? What is the meaning of orchestration? Okay. Then we will discuss about life without Kubernetes. Kubernetes is nothing but KITS. Okay, life without Kubernetes. Then we are going to discuss life with Kubernetes. That means how our application can be deployed very easily by using Kubernetes. Okay, life without Kubernetes, life with Kubernetes, and we will discuss about Kubernetes introduction, and we are going to discuss about Kubernetes architecture and Kubernetes setup. How we are going to set up the Kubernetes. This is also in Linux by using EKS cluster. In the real time, people will set up the Kubernetes in the AWS cloud or in the Azure cloud by using provider managed services. Okay. So there is a service called EKS in the AWS cloud. By using that, we are going to set up Kubernetes cluster. Once the Kubernetes setup completed, we will talk about the pods in the Kubernetes. We will talk about the services in the Kubernetes, and we are going to talk about namespaces in the Kubernetes. We will talk about deployments in the Kubernetes and stateful set in the Kubernetes, and we will talk about config map and secrets in the Kubernetes, and we are going to talk about Helm charts in the Kubernetes, and we are going to talk about Grafana and Prometheus in the Kubernetes, how to monitor our resources by using Grafana and Prometheus, ELK stack setup we are going to discuss in the Kubernetes. What is orchestration? Life without Kubernetes, life with Kubernetes, Kubernetes introduction, Kubernetes architecture, Kubernetes setup, pods, services, namespaces, deployment, stateful set. And here we are having one more thing called daemon set. Daemon set is available and config map and secret is available. And we are going to discuss about a Helm charts. And we are going to discuss about another concept called a HPA, which is the horizontal pod autoscaler. Then we will discuss about Grafana and Prometheus, and we are going to discuss about ELK setup in the Kubernetes cluster. So these are the very important topics that we need to learn in the Kubernetes. Along with this, there is another concept called ingress controller in the Kubernetes. There is another concept called ingress controller available in the Kubernetes. So all these topics we are going to discuss as part of our Kubernetes classes. Okay, then once this Kubernetes is completed, then we are going to learn about another important tool, that is Jenkins. So coming to the Jenkins, what we are going to learn, guys? What we are going to learn as part of the Jenkins? As part of the Jenkins, we are going to understand what is build and deployment process in the real time. What is the build and deployment process in the real time? How people are going to deploy our projects in the real time? How people are going to deploy our projects in the real time? And what are the challenges available with the manual build and deployment process? If I want to deploy one application in the server manually, if I do that, what are the challenges I have to face? Okay, then how to automate our project build and deployment process. What is the build and deployment process? What are the challenges involved with the manual build and deployment process? How to automate project build and deployment process. Then we will talk about Jenkins introduction. Then we are going to see Jenkins setup in the Linux machine. How we are going to install Jenkins server in the Linux machine. Then how we are going to create a Jenkins job, how to create the project by using Jenkins, how to automate our project build and deployment process by using Jenkins, Jenkins job creation, how to configure tools in the Jenkins, Jenkins tools configuration, plugins management in the Jenkins, how to configure the tools and how to manage the plugins in the Jenkins, and how to perform user management in the Jenkins for our team members, how to provide the Jenkins access. Okay, and we are going to talk about Jenkins jobs, and we are going to discuss about master slave architecture in the Jenkins. What is master and slave architecture in the Jenkins? After master and slave architecture creation, we are going to understand how to work with Jenkins pipelines. What is a pipeline? How to create the Jenkins pipeline? Okay. After pipelines are created, then we are going to understand email notifications in the Jenkins, and we are going to understand Jenkins backup that we are going to discuss. So as part of the Jenkins tool, we are going to learn what is the build and deployment process and what are the challenges available with the manual build and deployment process, how to automate our project build and deployment process. We will discuss Jenkins introduction, Jenkins setup in the Linux, how to create the jobs in the Jenkins, basic job creation first we will see. Then we are going to do the tools, global tools configuration in the Jenkins, how to manage the plugins in the Jenkins, how to manage users and user permissions in the Jenkins, how to create the Jenkins jobs, how to set up master and slave architecture in the Jenkins to simplify the project build process, and what is a pipeline, how to create the CI/CD pipelines by using Jenkins. When the pipeline is executed, how to send the email notifications to the team, and how to take the Jenkins backup. Okay, so these are the things that we are going to learn. Once all these things are completed, then the fourth one is Jenkins plus Docker plus Kubernetes integration, guys. Okay, Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins. Currently, first we are going to learn Docker separately, Kubernetes separately. Then at the end, I need to integrate all these three tools and I need to set up the integration part. Docker plus Kubernetes plus Jenkins. So finally, whatever the three tools we are learning, at the end, we are going to integrate all these three tools and we are going to automate our project build and deployment process. So this is the agenda for this Docker, Kubernetes and Jenkins course. What we are going to learn for next 30 days of time, that I have given the clear roadmap. So the basics of Linux knowledge, Linux basic knowledge is required to attend this Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins. The reason we are going to learn these three tools on the Linux platform. I'm going to take the Linux machines. In the Linux machines, I'm going to set up Docker, Kubernetes, and Jenkins. So daily 1.5 hour class will be available Monday to Friday. Timing of the class 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. IST. Okay, you are going to get the live classes. You are going to get the 1 year validity backup videos also. Every day, doubts clarification will be there. And I'm going to create one WhatsApp group also for the people for the community support. Any questions you have, you can share in that group. So what we are going to discuss in our course? In our course, we are going to learn Docker first. So today we are going to start with Docker. Then after this, we are going to learn Kubernetes. So Docker is used for containerization, Kubernetes is used for orchestration, and Jenkins is used for CI/CD process. So these three tools are very important. These three tools are very important. Without having knowledge on these three tools, you cannot attend a DevOps interview. Nowadays, in the developer interview also, they are asking, how do you deploy your application by using Docker? Can you tell me how do you automate your project build and deployment? How do you integrate the Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins in the project? What is orchestration? Why we need to go for orchestration? Can you tell me your project CI/CD flow? So nowadays these questions are very common for developers also. For a DevOps engineers, it is damn sure 100% mandatory. Without keeping these three tools in resume, if you apply for the jobs also, there is no use. You are not called as a DevOps engineer if you don't have knowledge on these three tools, guys. Am I clear with the course roadmap? Guys, am I clear with the course roadmap? What we are going to learn and what are the topics that we are going to learn and who are eligible to attend this course. Who are eligible to attend this course? Software developers can attend this course. DevOps engineers can attend this course. Cloud engineers also can attend this course. This is required for every software engineer because these three tools are having that much demand in the market. These three tools are a hot cake in the market. These three tools are hot cake in the market. Sir, can I work on my Mac system? Yes, Varsha, you can do that. I will tell you how to do the practice. How to do the practice. You need to have the account in the AWS cloud in order to do this practice. I will tell you how to set up that also. Very good. All right. So let's get started. with the Docker first, guys. Let's get started with the Docker first. So coming to the concept, what we are going to learn now. So today we are going to learn Docker. I hope you got the clarity on what is this course and what we are going to learn and who is eligible for this course. What is this course? Who are eligible to attend this course and what we are going to learn in this course. I hope you guys are clear with my point. Okay, now let's jump into the actual topic. Let's jump into the actual topic. Now, so these are three tools we are going to use to execute our project, guys. This is Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins. These are three tools we are going to use to deploy our application. Mainly, these three tools are used to deploy our application. These three tools are used to execute our application. So first let's understand what is our application architecture and what are the challenges available in the application execution process. Let me talk about application architecture first. Okay, so software project. If you take a software project, in the software project mainly three parts will be available, or we can say three layers will be available in every software project. What are those three layers, guys? The first layer in the software project, three layers will be available. So that is front end, back end, and database. So if you go to any software project, this is common. Three layers will be available in the software project. Sir, what are those three layers? The first layer is called as front end user interface web pages. Whenever you open any website, whatever you are seeing on the website, that is called front end, that is called user interface. And when you perform some operation in the user interface, then backend is going to execute. In the backend, business logic will be available. Backend will be executed. In the backend, business logic will be available. And for the project, database also will be available, that is used for storage purpose. In order to store our data, database will be available. To execute the business logic, sending the email for you, generating the OTP and sending the OTP to your mobile, okay, generating Excel report, generating PDF report, validating your data, calculating amounts, interest calculation, addition, subtraction, that kind of business logics will be implemented in the back end of the application. In the front end, user interface will be available. When you open any website, now for example, if you go to our Ashok IT website itself, okay, so whenever you access our website in the browser, you can see some images, you can see some menu, you can see some images, some data is displaying for you. So whatever you see on our website, that is called front end. Okay, when you perform any operation, it will communicate with the back end. It is going to fetch the data from the database and it is going to display the data here. So this application developed in three layers, guys. Front end is available, back end is available, and database is available. Front end nothing but user interface, back end nothing but business logic, database is used for storage. Now here, storage purpose database. In the market, there are so many databases available, like Oracle database available, MySQL database available, SQL Server, MongoDB, like that. There are so many databases available in the market. So we can use any one database for our project. And the second one, backend, business logic. To develop business logic of the application, there are so many technologies available. Java, .NET, Python, PHP, Node.js. These technologies are called as backend technologies. They are used to develop backend of the application. And coming to the front end, for the front end development, we are having multiple technologies like Angular is available, React is available, Vue.js is available. So to develop the front end, there are some technologies. To develop the back end, there are some technologies. For storage, there are several databases available. Now, in the company, people, the software developers, when they are going to develop a project, they will choose one front-end technology, one back-end technology, one database. So by choosing these tech stack, they are going to develop a project. So this is called software application architecture. The software application architecture contains three layers: database, backend, frontend. Database for storage, backend business logic, frontend user interface. There are several databases available in the market: Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, MongoDB, Postgres, etc. We need to choose one database to store our project data. Backend. There are so many technologies to develop the backend: Java, Python, .NET, PHP, Node.js, etc. We need to choose one backend technology. Coming to the front end, user interface, there are so many options: Angular, React, and Vue.js. Now assume that we have taken some tech stack to develop our application. My application tech stack. Tech stack of the application. What is the meaning of tech stack of the application? Tech stack represents what technologies you are going to use to develop the project. Which technologies you are using to develop your project, that is called tech stack of the application. Now, in order to develop the front end of the application, assume that I'm using Angular version 18. Angular technology, Angular framework I'm using to develop front end of the application. Then to develop the back end of the application, I'm using Java 17. Okay. So for backend, I'm using Java 17. For front end, I'm using Angular. And for a database, assume that I'm using MySQL. MySQL server I'm using for the database. And to run this application, web server, I'm using Tomcat. For front end, I'm using Angular. For backend, I'm using Java. Database, MySQL. To run my application, I'm using Tomcat server. So this is called technology stack of our application. Now, so assume that. So developers are available. Developers completed the development of the project. Now we need to deploy this project in a server for the testing. We need to deploy this application front end developed using Angular, application backend developed using Java, and to store the application data, one database is available. Now I want to execute my application. I want to test how application is working. So if you want to execute your application, then we need to take one computer. In that computer, we need to install all these softwares. Okay. So if we want to run our application code, then we need to set up all the required dependencies in the machine. Dependencies nothing but softwares in the machine. Okay. If I want to run my project, I need to install Java in that machine. I need to install Angular in that machine. I need to install MySQL database in that machine. I need to install Tomcat server in that machine. Okay. So we need to set up all the required dependencies, or I can say required softwares in the machine. Okay. Dependencies are softwares in that machine. What is the meaning of dependencies? Dependencies is nothing but the softwares which are required to run our application. So you understand my project architecture, three layers available. So front end, back end, database. Front end developed using Angular. Back end developed using Java. Database, MySQL. To run this application, one server. I'm using Tomcat as a web server. Now, my project development completed. As a DevOps engineer, I want to run my project. So in order to run my project, then what we need to do? We need to take one machine, either it is a physical machine or cloud virtual machine, anything. One machine is required. So in the real time, people will use Linux machines for the deployment. So I will take one Linux machine. In that Linux machine, I need to install Angular software to run the front end. I need to install Java software to run the back end. I need to install database for storage. I need to install server for the project execution. So in order to run our application code, we need to set up all the required dependencies in the machine. What is the meaning of dependencies? Dependencies is nothing but the softwares which are required to run our application. So whatever the technologies that you are using, what is the tech stack that you are using, you need to set up that tech stack in the machine, then only your project code can be executed. Are you guys able to follow me? Application architecture and what is the technology stack of the application. Now, in order to deploy our application, I need to take one machine. So in that machine, I need to run my application code. In order to run my application code, I need to install these technologies in that machine. Angular software I need to install, Java software I need to install, Tomcat server, the database, either Oracle database or MySQL database. I need to install all these softwares in this machine. I need to install all these softwares in that machine. So then only my application code can be executed. Okay, if you want to run your application in one machine, so take one physical machine or one virtual machine, then install the required software. Then I want to run my application in the second machine also. I want to run my application in the second machine also. Then what I need to do? Take one more machine. In that machine also, install the technologies. Install Angular, install Java, install Tomcat, install Oracle or MySQL based on the project requirement, based on the tech stack. So I need to install these softwares in the second machine. Suppose if I want to deploy my application in the third machine, then I need to run my code. I need to run my project in the third machine. To run my project in the third machine, again, I need to install Angular, I need to install Java, I need to install Tomcat, I need to install Oracle. So can you see, is there any problem? Can you see, is there any problem in this process? I want to deploy my project. My project is having front end, my project is having back end, my project is having database. Now I want to deploy my project. I want to execute my project for the testing purpose. I want to deploy my project and I want to execute my project for the deployment process. Okay, so if I want to deploy my project in one machine, if I want to run my project in one machine, is there any challenge available or there is no challenge available? If I want to deploy my project in any machine, is there any challenge available or there is no challenge available? Come on, guys. Is there any challenge available or there is no challenge available in this process? What is the challenge, guys? So here you need to set up all the softwares to run your application. You need to set up all the softwares manually in order to run your application. Okay, so if I want to run my application in 3 machines, 3 times I have to install all the softwares. For example, if I want to run my application in 100 machines, if I want to run my application in 100 machines, please respond in the chat box, Mr. Ramu. So if I want to deploy my application in 100 machines, then 100 times I need to install the softwares. So in 100 machines, I need to install the softwares manually. So it is time-taking process. It is a time-taking process. In the real time, when we are developing in the project now, our application should be deployed into multiple environments. Okay. So application environments will be available. In the real time, our application will be tested in multiple environments, guys. Sir, what is the meaning of environment? What environments will be available in the real time for our application testing? So in the real time, multiple environments will be available to test our application. Our application will be deployed in multiple environments, in multiple machines for the testing purpose. What environments will be available? In the real time, dev environment will be available and SIT environment will be available and UAT environment will be available, pilot will be available and production environment will be available. So that means we are going to take multiple environments in order to test our application. As a DevOps engineer, we are responsible to deploy our project in multiple environments, dev environment. Assume that in the dev environment, I am having 10 machines to deploy my project. So in the dev environment, 10 servers available. In 10 machines, I want to deploy. When it comes to the SIT environment, 20 machines available for the execution. Okay. When it comes to the UAT, I want to deploy my project in the 50 machines. When it comes to the pilot, I want to deploy my project in 100 machines. When it comes to the production, I want to deploy my application in 200 machines, guys. I want to deploy my application in the 200 machines for the production. That is a final delivery. So when I want to deploy my project in the dev environment, what is the meaning of dev environment? Dev environment means some machines will be available to run our application. Developers are going to use that dev environment for the code testing. Every developer is working on some functionality. Once all the code is integrated in the GitHub, we will deploy that code into dev environment. In the dev environment, multiple machines available. So in all these machines, we need to install all these softwares. Then only we can test our application. Then only we can run our application. So dev environment will be used by developers for testing. Once the developer testing is completed, we need to give our project for the testing team. SIT environment will be available. SIT environment used by testers for the project system integration testing. So developers tested, and that once the developer testing is completed, I should go for the SIT, that is system integration testing. So I want to deploy my project in the SIT. In SIT, again, there are some machines available. Okay, again, I need to install the softwares and I need to execute my project in those machines. Once SIT is completed, then we are having UAT. UAT environment used by client side team. Our application, before delivering to the client, we will give to the client for testing purpose by using UAT. Again, in the UAT, some machines will be available. In those machines, we need to run our application. Okay, UAT environment used by client side team for acceptance testing. Whether client is okay for production, not okay for production. Then pilot environment will be available. Pilot environment is used for pre-prod testing. Before deploying the application to the production, we do the test by using pre-prod environment. That is called pilot. Once the pilot testing is completed, our project will be deployed in the production. Production environment is used for live deployment. When we deploy project in the production environment, then end users can access our application. Production means delivery to the client. So when we are deploying our application to the production, then end users are going to access our application. Okay, so like this, in our real-time project, multiple environments will be available in order to test our application. Dev environment, SIT, UAT, pilot, prod, like that multiple environments will be available. Sir, why these many environments? Just to test the project. Just to test the project. So environment means a machine, a platform which is used to run the code. Environment nothing but a platform where we can execute the code. Basically, environment means one machine. In that machine, we are going to run our application. In order to run our application, directly code cannot be executed. In order to run our application code in that machine, we need to install required softwares. If we need to install required softwares, then only our code can be executed. Now I want to execute my code in multiple environments. In every environment, multiple machines available. So in all the machines, I need to install the softwares properly, then only my application can be executed. So now, who is going to do all this work in the real time? As a DevOps engineer, we are responsible to set up infrastructure to run our application. As a DevOps engineer, we are responsible to set up the infrastructure to run our application. So we need to install all the required dependencies in order to run our application. We need to install all the required dependencies in order to run our application. And where we need to set up the dependencies? We need to set up the dependencies in all environments to run our application. So as a DevOps engineer, we are responsible for project deployment. We are responsible for project delivery. So in order to deploy our project, first of all, infrastructure is required. A machine. So in that machine, software's installation, all those things you need to take care on your own, then only project can be executed. Are we going to deploy project in only one machine? Or we need to deploy our project in multiple machines in the real time, guys? In the real time, are we going to deploy our project only in one machine? Or we are going to deploy the project in multiple machines in the real time? Are we going to deploy the project in one machine in the real time? Or we are going to deploy the project in multiple machines in the real time? We are going to deploy the project in the multiple machines in the real time. So to deploy the project in multiple machines, you need to set up these softwares in all those machines. So that is time taking process. There is a chance of doing the mistakes also. That is a time taking process and there is a chance of doing the mistakes also. So we need to set up the dependencies in all environments to run our application. So here there is a chance of doing the mistake in the dependencies installation process. So instead of Java 17, by mistake if you install Java 11, then our code cannot work. So instead of installing Java 17, by mistake I installed Java 11, then my code cannot work. So here manual work is there, repeated task you need to do again and again, proper softwares you have to install, proper version compatibility you need to take care. Then only your application can execute in the machine. Now, life without Docker. So if you are not using Docker in your project, right? Then you need to do application deployment process, application execution setup manually. You need to take the machine, in that you need to set up the software, then you need to run your application, you need to take care of the softwares, you need to take care of the versions, you need to repeat the same task again and again. You need to repeat the same task again and again. So there is a challenge here. There is a challenge here. So multiple environments will be available. So dev environment, SIT environment, UAT environment, and prod environment. So you need to deploy your application in the multiple environments for the testing purpose. Once the testing is completed in all these environments, then only we will roll off our application to the production. That means we will deploy our application to the production environment, guys. Okay, now can you guys tell me what is the developer life or DevOps engineer life without Docker? What is our life without Docker? Come on, life without Docker. So what are the challenges we are going to face without Docker? Come on. Life without Docker. Manual process. Okay. So life without Docker. When you are going to run your project without using the Docker, then what are the challenges we are going to face, guys? Okay. It works on my machine problems. It works on my machine problems. So now when the developer is doing the coding part, developer will say that the code is working in my system. Okay. But when I deploy the code in the dev environment, is not working. DevOps tester is saying that code is not working. Developer is saying that code is working in my system. Actually, there is no problem with the code. The problem with the softwares, OS, hardware, libraries, different environmental issues will be available. So we deliver code to the testing team. Testing team is saying that, array, this code is not working. And when it comes to the developer, developer is saying that, array, this is working in my system, it is not working in your system. So it is not my code problem, it is your system problem. Have you encountered these kind of issues? It works on my system, not working in your system. Have you seen these kind of problems in the real time? Yes, so many times. Testers will say that functionality not working. Developers will say that it is working on my system. Okay. developers would build and test applications on their local laptops. Developers will build and test their applications on the local laptops. Then the application is running properly. When we move that application to the server, when we move the application to the environment, it often breaks because of differences in OS, libraries, versions, configurations, etc. So whatever the code developer has implemented, that code is working fine in their system. The developers has done the coding in their laptop. They tested that code in their laptop. It is working. But when we deploy that code in the dev environment, it is not working. It is not because of code issue. It is because of OS, because of libraries, because of versions, because of configurations. It is going to fail. Testers will say that code is not working. Developers will say that code is working. Why the difference is there? Because of operating systems, because of configurations, because of software versions, because of software installation process mistakes. There can be n number of reasons. The code which is working in one system may not work in the another system when there is a difference in the libraries, or when there is a difference in the operating system, when there is a difference in the configuration management. So without a Docker, team would spend hours of time to debug the issues and to find the differences in the environment. In your laptop, code is not working. In my laptop, code is working. What is the difference between your laptop and my laptop? So we need to debug and we need to identify what all the issues, which issue is causing this problem. What is the root cause of the problem? So we need to spend lot of time to identify root cause of the problem. When the code is working in one system, the same code not working in the another system. It works on my machine problem. It works on my machine problem. That means the code which is working in my system, not working in your system. So if it is working in my system, code is correct. Why it is not working in your system? System issue. System configuration issue, software configuration issue, dependencies issue, OS issue, library issue. There can be anything. So how to identify? We need to spend a lot of time to identify the problem, to identify the difference between multiple systems. Why it is working in one system, why it is not working in another system. Okay, and second problem here, complex software installation process. Complex software installation process. So installing softwares will take a lot of time. Installing something like a database like Oracle, MySQL will take a lot of time, guys. Okay, so installing something like a database required manually. Okay, downloading the right version of the software. You need to download right version of that particular software. Install the dependencies, then you need to configure services properly, then only database server will run in your system. Okay, a simple project setup could take hours of time. A simple project setup can take hours of time. Front-end deployment, back-end deployment, database setup. So complex software installation process will be available when we want to deploy your application. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Heavy virtual machines people use to run our application. Heavy virtual machines, heavy VMs. Before Docker, developers used virtual machines like VirtualBox, VMware, hypervisor in order to run our application. Okay, before Docker, developers used virtual machines like VirtualBox, VMware, Hyper-V to simulate the servers. So now here the requirement is I want to run my application in multiple servers. Okay, so actually I want to deploy my project in multiple servers. Now I am having one machine, guys. I'm having one machine. Now I want to deploy my project in multiple servers. Then what people will do in the real time generally, guys? So there is one machine available. In that machine, one operating system will be available, which is called host operating system. For example, so I have a computer. In that computer, one operating system is available that is called Windows operating system. Now I want to run my project in multiple instances. I want to run my project in multiple servers for handling the heavy load. To handle the heavy load, I want to run my application in multiple servers. Then what people will do in the real time to handle the application deployment in the multiple servers. So here we are going to set up one software called VMware software. We are going to set up a software called VMware software in our machine. By using this VMware, we are going to create virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2, virtual machine 3. So instead of purchasing 3 different computers, what I will do is by using VMware, I'm going to set up virtual operating system in the same machine, and I'm going to deploy my application in this machine, in this machine, in this machine. So this concept is called virtualization concept. When the Docker was not there in the market, people used it to deploy the project in multiple servers by using virtualization concept. So what is that virtualization? I have only one computer, but I want to run my project in 3 machines. I have only one machine, but I want to run my project in 3 servers. Then what they will do? In this machine, they are going to install one software called VMware. By using that VMware, they are going to set up virtual machines in the same computer. 3 virtual machines. Every machine is separate OS. In that, they will install the softwares and they are going to deploy the application. So VM's virtual machines they are going to use. Before Docker, developers used virtual machines like VirtualBox, VMware, hypervisor to simulate the servers. Okay, when you go for this one, what is the problem here? The VMs are too large, they are very slow to start and resources hungry. Each VM has full OS inside. So each virtual machine is a separate computer. It is going to take a lot of memory. It is going to take a lot of resources from the system. Then our system will become very slow when you run your project in multiple VMs within the same computer. So within the same computer. Okay, so heavy virtual machines. That heavy virtual machines they use it to set up before the Docker. So I want to simulate my servers. I want to run my application in multiple servers. So when the Docker was not there, how people use it to manage this? When the Docker was not there, people use it to set up the VM, virtual machines in the one physical machine. I have one computer. In that computer, one operating system available. In that, I want to set up 3 servers. Then I don't want to purchase 3 servers. Same computer I want to use for this process. Then what they will do? They will set up VMware. Using that VMware, they will create 3 virtual machines. In those 3 virtual machines, 3 operating systems will be available. Install all the softwares, then deploy the application. So if you set up 3 VMs in the single machine, the load will be increased on the machine. Your system will become dead slow. Your system will become dead slow. So this is another problem when we go for virtualization without Docker. So when the Docker was not there, our life was very difficult as a DevOps engineer. So what is the problem? So it works on my machine problem. So the code which is running in one system is not working in another system because of configuration issues. And to work with the project, some softwares we have to set up. Software's installation process will become very difficult. If I want to set up a database, it will take a lot of time. For my project, database server is required. Backend software is required. Front-end software is required. It will take a lot of time in order to install some software. And heavy, if I want to deploy my project in multiple servers, instead of purchasing multiple servers, I want to simulate 3 servers by using virtualization concept. Heavy virtual machines we are going to use. So VMs are large, they are slow to start, they are resources hungry, they will take a lot of memory, they will take a lot of space in your system. Finally, your system will become slow when you run your project in multiple machines like this by using virtualization concept. Are you guys clear? Are you guys clear? Scaling application is difficult. Another problem. I want to run my application in multiple machines. Is it easy to scaling the application? Scaling means I want to deploy my project in multiple machines. Now currently my project is running in 3 machines. Now I want to run my project in another 3 machines. I want to scale up my servers. Currently, my project is running in 3 servers. So much load is coming to my project. Instead of 3 servers, I want to run my project in 10 servers. Immediately, can I run my project in 10 servers? Immediately, can I run my project in 10 servers? Manually configure everything. Okay, manually configuring and copying the application binaries, application libraries, manually setting up the load balancers in order to run our application. So when you don't use the Docker concept, right, you need to do all the work manually. Manually, you need to set up your application in a machine. Manually, you need to copy the dependencies of your application. Manually, you need to install the softwares for your application. Manually, you need to run your application. So immediately scaling up the application not possible when the Docker is not available. So lot of challenges available. So our life will become very difficult when we don't use Docker as a DevOps engineer. Our life will become very difficult when we don't use Docker for our project. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Life without Docker. Are you guys clear with my point? Life without Docker. So I want to deploy my project. My project is having 3 layers. Front end is available, back end is available, database is available. So in order to run the application, I need to set up the technology stack in all the machines. Then only I can run the project. The technology stack setting up in one machine, I need to install all the softwares. Then only my code can execute. If I want to run my project in the second machine, again I need to install all the softwares. If I want to run the same project in the third machine, again I need to install all the softwares. So the code which is working in one system may not work in the another system because of these configuration issues. So same thing we need to do again and again. There is a chance of doing the mistake. Human errors can occur. Human errors can occur. And in order to deploy the project in the real time, multiple environments, dev environment, SIT, UAT, pilot, production. So developers will use the dev environment for testing. Testing team will do system integration testing in the SIT. Client will do acceptance testing in the UAT. Then finally, our project will go to the production for the delivery. So as we are going with multiple environments, in every environment, we need to set up our application for testing. It takes a lot of time. So as a DevOps engineer, we are going to face a lot of challenges in our application deployment process when we don't use Docker. So what are the challenges we are going to face? How our life will be without Docker? So the testers will say that code is not working. Developers will say that code is working in my system. Almost a fighting will happen between the developers and testers because of environment issues. So it works on my machine problems will be available. Complex software installation process will be there when you want to set up a database, and heavy virtual machines we need to create. We need to use virtualization concept to simulate the servers to run our application. And immediately if I want to increase the servers, immediately scaling is not easy. Currently my project running in 3 machines. Immediately I want to run my project in 10 machines. Immediate scaling is not possible when we are not using Docker in our project. Okay, now, so life with Docker. Life with Docker. What is Docker and how Docker is going to help you to simplify this application execution process. So now let's understand what is Docker. Now let's understand what is Docker. Docker is a free and open source software. Guys, very important. Now we have seen what is the challenge, what are the challenges available in application execution process. Now, how can we simplify our application execution process by using Docker? Life with Docker. Let life without Docker we have seen. Manually you need to do everything. Manually you need to install the software. You need to set up virtual machines to run your application multiple servers. Scaling is difficult. Installation process is difficult. Same work you need to do again and again. And there is a chance of doing the mistakes also. Then how can we avoid all these challenges? How Docker is going to help us? What is Docker? How our life will be with Docker? So now let's understand what is Docker. Docker is a free and open source software, guys. What is Docker? Docker is a free and open source software, and Docker is used for containerization. What is this Docker? Docker is used for containerization. Sir, what is the meaning of containerization? Anybody having any idea? Anybody having any idea? What is the containerization, guys? Can you respond in the chat box? Anybody having any idea? What is the containerization? Can you respond in the chat box? What is the containerization? Any idea? Any idea? What is the containerization? Okay. So with the help of Docker, we can execute our application as a containers. So what is the Docker? Docker is a free and open source software. Docker is used for containerization. With the help of Docker, we can run our application in any machine very easily. Okay. So Docker is a free and open source software, and this Docker software is used for containerization concept. So what is containerization? So with the help of Docker, we can run our application in any machine very easily. So what is a container? Container is nothing but a package, guys. Container is equal to, which is going to package our application code plus required softwares. Container, we can say it is a package or it is a box. So in order to run your application, what softwares are required? Docker will install the softwares in the system. You no need to set up the softwares to run your application. So by using Docker, you can simply execute your project in any machine by using container concept. What is the container? Container is nothing but a package which is used to run our code, and it is going to take care of softwares which are required to run our code. Now I have shown you that multiple machines are available, right? Now if I want to deploy my application in the multiple machines, I no need to install all these softwares. I will tell to Docker, hey Docker, I want to run my code. For my code, Tomcat required, Java required, Angular required, MySQL required. Then Docker will take care of all the software. Okay, Docker will take care of software's installation to execute our application in any machine. So Docker will take care of dependencies installation required for the execution. Dependency is nothing but the softwares that are required to run our application. So by using Docker, we can make our application portable. That means by using Docker, we can run our application in any machine. So now you have given me a task. Run your project in 100 machines. Simple. By using Docker, I can run my project in 100 machines. What about the softwares required for the execution? I no need to do. Docker will install all the required softwares to execute my application. That is called containerization. We are going to package our application code and application related softwares to run my application. Angular software, Java software, Oracle software, Tomcat software. Whatever the softwares that are required to run my application, I will tell to Docker, hey Docker, to run my project, these softwares are required. Then Docker will install those softwares in the computer and it will run my application. Now, if I have Docker, I can run my project in any machine very easily because software installation, versions, configurations is not my responsibility. That will be taken care by Docker. So what is a Docker? Docker is a free and open source software. Docker is a free and open source software. Docker is used for a concept called containerization. So with the help of Docker, we can run our application in any machine very easily as a container. Now, you no need to set up virtual machines in one machine. So I want to run my project in multiple servers. So now, instead of we are creating 3 virtual machines by using VMware, we are going to create 3 containers in the machine. So every container is one application. One application we can run with multiple containers without using the VMware concept. Very easily you can simulate your applications in the multiple servers by using containerization concept. What is the meaning of containerization? Containerization is very simple. It is going to package our application code and required softwares as one box, and it is going to execute. So from now onwards, to run my project in any machine, no need to install the softwares. Why? Already we are telling to Docker to install the software. So to run my code, what softwares are required? Docker is going to install the softwares in the machine, and it is going to run our application. Easily, we can run our application in any machine without bothering about which operating system available, which Java version available, Tomcat is available or not, MySQL is available or not, Angular is available or not required. You no need to set up the softwares from now. To run your code, what are the technologies required? Docker will take care of it. The software's installation, versions, deployment, execution, Docker will take care of that. Instead of we are doing manually, we will tell to the Docker. So if the code is working in one machine by using Docker, that code can execute in any machine. That means it is not going to run on your system configuration. Docker will create a separate container to run the application. Earlier, it works on my machine problem. It is working in the developer system, but not working in the tester system because of environment issues. When you go for a Docker, that issue will not come. Why? Because Docker will prepare a separate container to run the application. That container can be created in any machine. In that container only, they will install the softwares to run the application. What is containerization? It is the process of packaging code and softwares together and run in any machine. So Docker is a free and open source software. This Docker is used for containerization concept. What is the meaning of container? It is a package. It is a package. You can package your code and your software for execution. So with the help of Docker, we can run our application in any machine very easily. With the help of Docker, we can run our application in any machine easily. Why we can run in any machine easily? How we can run? Because earlier software's installation is my responsibility. Now software's installation will be taken care by Docker. Simply you can run your application in any computer because Docker will take care of software's installation required for the project. So we can make our application portable by using Docker. Are you guys able to understand what is a Docker? Docker is an open source platform for running applications in the containers. Containers nothing but lightweight isolated environment that package application and the application dependencies. By using Docker, application will be portable, application scalability, consistency and resource efficiency also will be available. Portable means we can run our application in any computer. No need to bother about the softwares available in that system because Docker will take care of the softwares required for the project. Scalability. Immediately I can run my project in 20 machines also. In the 20 machines, I no need to install the software. Just run the project. Docker will take care of that. Consistency. The code which is working in one system, 100% guarantee that code can work in any system. Because system infrastructure Docker will not use. Docker will set up its own environment to run the application that is called containers. So when we compare virtual machine and container, containers will occupy very less memory than virtual machine in the system. So if you go for VM with virtualization, they will occupy lot of resources of our system. They will occupy lot of memory in our system. But containers are very lightweight. Containers are very lightweight. Your system performance will not be affected when you run multiple containers also. So Docker is an open source platform for running the applications in the container. What is a container? It is a lightweight box. In that, your code plus softwares will be available for execution. That container you can execute in any machine. That's why if you see the Docker logo, ship with boxes available. This is the official Docker logo. Yes, ship, in that ship boxes. These boxes are called containers, guys. Ship with boxes, those boxes are called as container. Easily we can transfer our containers from one place to another place. Easily we can execute the containers in any machine. So symbolically, they are giving ship to transfer easily. The containers can be transferred easily. Docker is used for containerization. Nothing but create the application package with the dependencies, code plus softwares. Together we will package and will execute in the container. Okay, how this Docker is going to work? For that, we need to understand Docker architecture. So how the Docker is going to make our application deployment easy. For that, we need to understand a concept called Docker architecture. In the Docker architecture, Docker file will be available, then Docker image will be available, then Docker registry will be available, then Docker container will be available. So if you want to work with Docker, then you need to understand Docker architecture. In the Docker architecture, mainly four important points will be available. One is called Docker file. Second one is called Docker image. Third one is called Docker registry. Fourth one is called Docker container. In the tomorrow session, we are going to understand this Docker architecture very clearly, and we are going to set up the Docker in the Linux machine, and we will start practicals from tomorrow. Today is just introduction for what is Docker and why we need to go for Docker. So today we discussed about what is our course, Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins, 3 tools, 30 days duration, okay, and what you are going to get as part of these classes, and what we are going to learn as part of this course, what we are going to learn in the Docker, what we will learn in the Kubernetes, what we are going to learn in the Jenkins. So I started introduction part for the Docker. So Docker is used to simplify your project deployment in any machine. It is used to simplify project execution in the any machine. If the Docker is not there, you need to do a lot of things manually. That is very difficult. By using Docker, we will execute our project as a container. It is not about just software installation, guys. It is going to run your application as a container. That is the main purpose. For software installation, already Ansible is available. By using Ansible, we can install the softwares in all the machines. Docker is not just for software installation. Docker mainly used to execute project as a container. It is going to package your code and your softwares together, and it can run your application in any machine. Ansible will just install the software. Docker, it will install the software as well as it will execute your application as a container. There is a difference between Docker and Ansible. Some people are asking, sir, already Ansible is available for the software installation now. Then why we should go for Docker? So Docker is not for only software installation. Docker is used for containerization. It will execute your project as a box. That box you can keep in any system. That box you can run in any system. Okay. Docker will take care of your code plus softwares together, and it will run your application in any machine. Docker will make your application portable. Docker will make your application loosely coupled with the system hardware configuration. Whether you are using Windows machine, whether you are using Linux machine, whether you are using Mac machine, no problem. Docker will prepare its own container to run the project. So it will make your application loosely coupled with the system hardware configuration. Ansible only for software installation, whereas Docker for containerization. It is going to package your softwares plus your application code, and it can run as a container. Container means one machine. Container means one box. The application which is running in one system, that application can run in any system because Docker is going to take care of that. Docker is going to take care of that. So how Docker will understand which softwares are required? For that, Docker file is available. Which software is required to run the application? Which version of Java required? Which version of Angular required? Those things we are going to specify in the Docker file. So in the tomorrow session, we are going to understand this Docker architecture. Once we discuss Docker architecture, then you will get the full clarity how the Docker is going to work in the real time. Once we got the clarity on this architecture, I will install the Docker and we will start practice with the Docker. Are you clear with my point, guys? Good. So I hope you got some idea what is Docker and why we need to go for Docker. Could you please respond yes or no? Do you get some basic idea? Not complete, at least some basic idea. At least some basic idea what is Docker and why we are going for Docker. So Docker is a containerization software, guys. It is used to simplify your application execution in any machine. Docker is used to simplify your application execution in any machine. Just introduction we understood. Tomorrow we will see the architecture, setup and practice we are going to do. This week completely we are going to work with the Docker. So this 5 days completely we are going to spend for the Docker only. Good. Thank you guys. Now this is time for doubts clarification. I will give the option to unmute your mic. If you have any questions now, you can unmute and you can ask. Okay, good. So I will share this video also. The new people who are attending this class for first time, you will, if you want to access these notes, if you want to access this video, so could you please follow our WhatsApp channel. WhatsApp channel link I have given in the chat box. Just click on that channel, then you are going to access this notes and this video also. Good. I have given the WhatsApp channel link in the chat box. So please click on the link and follow that, guys. Good. Thank you.